Size is overrated. Be it regarding battles within fiction or real life, size is one of those aspects that people bring up all the time that doesn't really mean all that much. It does have some place in the discussion, particularly in reality, but when regarding the lands of fiction, it quickly becomes the dumbest point you can make. In this analysis, we'll be bringing up multiple examples from across the board to point that out. First, let's start with reality. Why do people think size matters? Well, this is typically because bigger individuals within the same species can use size effectively to defeat their opponents. A study on earwigs showed that equally matched combatants had one factor between them that led to a winner: size. But I have seen even informed individuals make the mistake of lumping this in as the greatest factor overall in all of combat. But that simply is not the case. And let's give a reason why. Adaptations for predation are seemingly much more important for combat than sheer size. There are numerous instances of leopards taking down fully grown silverback gorillas, including in broad daylight, despite the gorilla being over twice their body size and likely having a larger amount of physical strength. In this case, speed and weaponry are enough to bring down an animal much larger than the leopard. Cats in general also seem to be sort of a middle finger to this thought process as well, especially the panther cats. Big cats are basically required to take down large prey in order to meet their dietary needs. Cats need a lot of organ meat, and where do you get a lot of organs? In big prey. Cats, especially lions, tigers, and jaguars, have shown some of the most absurd feats of strength that I've ever seen in nature, at least compared to their size. A jaguar was not only able to kill a over 1,000 pound bull, but drag the corpse over a fence on a road. And pound for pound, the leopard is the physically strongest of all the cats. Lions have been recorded multiple times taking down not only large buffalo by themselves, but even giraffes. Male lions at least. And a tiger apparently went to the death with an adult rhinoceros, and the fight resulted in a draw, with both animals being killed. But maybe cats are simply an exception, I hear you say. Well, there's actually photographic evidence that crocodiles have attacked prey as large as rhinoceros and possibly managed to kill them. A crocodile was also known to have severely wounded a large elephant in India. The fate of the crocodile is unknown, but it was able to rip through the hide of an elephant more than 4 times its weight. And then, of course, you look in the mirror. Humans. Yeah, us skinny bipedal apes learned how to pick up and throw sticks and rocks and take down the biggest land mammals still around. And many others probably wish we didn't know how to do that. Even regarding humans, skill and technique tend to beat out just size alone. Now, if someone has size and technique, the small person with technique is getting crushed, but that's not the discussion here. So even in real life, size isn't everything, not even close. So then why is this attitude brought up in fiction, particularly regarding things like giant monsters? Complaints about size tend to be thrown at things like kaiju, dragons, and monsters of all sorts. For example, who would win in a fight? Godzilla Earth or Heisei era Godzilla? Now, the common smooth brain would probably say Godzilla Earth because he's bigger. And I know, because I got a lot of those comments when I talked about the subject in more detail. And while Earth is powerful, the correct result would be Heisei Godzilla being far too powerful, durable, and winning this fight with relative ease. And while the informed can accept that, a lot of people would just cry that Earth is bigger, and he have good laser, so he win. Hilariously, Godzilla is one of those creatures that generally gives the middle finger to that as well. -1 showed a 50-meter Godzilla with a nuclear bomb level attack, which of course would obliterate the 118.5 meter tall Shin Godzilla, whose atomic breath can only cut through buildings. Obviously -1 is stronger, but people will still bring up Shin's size anyway in a debate between the two. But what does that matter if one has a nuke that shoots out of his mouth? In this case, size is utterly irrelevant. -1 would win, and with a single shot too. Another example, let's turn to the world of Monster Hunter. A common debate in the fandom is between the gigantic serpent wyvern, Dalamarder, and the typical endgame boss, Fatalis. Now, a lot of people would look at these two and automatically think that Snake Boy wins. I mean, he's 400 meters long, he wraps around mountains. He big. He have big beam. He big, he win. But when you actually pay attention to these games and their stories and statements and showings, it becomes pretty clear that Fatalis is stronger. Not only is he called the strongest monster throughout most of the series, with only a few being able to contest him in that title, but even in the latest good game, Monster Hunter World's Iceborne Edition, we directly have note that a creature meant to be a rival for Fatalis, in its child form, ate the energy of multiple extra large Dalamarder. So this giant snake is pretty much a baby bottle for Fatalis. Not much of a fight, if you ask me. Not only that, but we also know from the Iceborne book, the first game and onwards, with multiple guidebooks and statements and the games themselves, and on top of that, even last year, an IGN interview of the game confirming that Fatalis, if not stopped by the hunter, would wipe out every other living thing, if not even the entire planet. Dalamarder is big and strong. He's not that strong though, and that would mean Fatalis can literally wipe out the entire species. He's consistently noted to be the most powerful monster in the mainline games. The only things that seem on his level, roughly, are Alatreon and Saifi-Jiva, along with, of course, his variants, Crimson and White, not Dalamarder. But of course, you'll see the typical Monster Hunter fan try to argue with the lore for whatever stupid reason. Speaking of arguing with lore, God of War is one of those series that really doesn't have any reason at all for why this treatment should exist. Kratos is big for a guy, yes, about 8 feet tall in the Greek games and 6 feet in the Norse games, yes. But he's killed dragons, giants, titans that hold up the whole world. He's literally... he's killed generations of beings who have beaten giant creatures. Zeus beat Kronos and the other titans with a single attack. And Kratos beat the shit out of Zeus. Yet for some reason, people always try to bring up Ashura's bigger, therefore Kratos would lose. Which is really stupid, considering Kratos killed things that killed things that killed things that made the entire universe. Granted, Ashura eventually reaches such a level of strength, so this fight would be pretty interesting, and I'm excited for Death Battle's coverage of it. But you will hear the notion of size be mentioned at all in this battle. Why? You tend to see a lot of this cope with Kratos actually being very weak and not having many good showings of strength. But then the games will literally give them to us. Perhaps it's because of how God of War is portrayed. Perhaps it's people just being dumb. Now that we've moved on to more human-like characters, I could really just insert any anime or comic hero here. Size doesn't matter in those, and it's a common stupid notion brought up for monster fights specifically that, oh, this isn't Dragon Ball, this isn't Naruto, size matters, feats don't, you can't power scale things, or whatever other idiotic dribble they can possibly muster. And the truth is, it's not only wrong, it's incredibly disingenuous. Back to Godzilla for a second, even the first Godzilla was always way more than just size. He was compared, minute one, to a nuclear bomb. The director of the film even stating if he was just a dinosaur or monster, a single cannonball would have killed him. But if he's a nuclear bomb, what the hell would we do about that? And that's the point of the movie. Godzilla was nigh indestructible to anything except something more dangerous than a nuke. Trying to apply the limits of size and physics to Kaiju breaks the entire premise. Even if you go back to the stories of gods and monsters, Thor kills the Midgard serpent. Granted, it kills him back, but it kills him with poison, not physical power. Thor beats up a snake that wraps around the entire planet. So if size is overrated in combat between humans, animals, and fictional characters, Why is it always the default brought up? My personal hypothesis, it sits somewhere locked into our deep gorilla brains that size matters. Which is kind of ironic considering that chimpanzees have swarmed gorillas to the point that a silverback's size and strength don't matter. But that said, most apes do solve things by fighting in big brawling matches, where the bigger animal would win. And size is generally a good factor between the same species in combat. Because what would beat you? Bigger you. That makes sense. But as the end-all be-all of a fight, in general, between two completely different things? Absolutely not. And that is the purpose of this analysis. To bring to light that size, while it has a role in combat, is not the end-all be-all. There are things around size that often play more important factors. I hope this gets around because I'm really sick of seeing this notion. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.